Hi everybody, welcome to Chapter 12. Chapter 12 deals with decimals, and Section 12-1 is loaded with information. So, we're going to go through this step by step, review what we did in class, and hopefully this will give you a little better understanding of how to relate fractions and decimals. First, as you can see on the board, I have a number written, 326.4. And what I did for you is label your place values. My 6 is in my ones place, 2 is in my tens place, 3 is in my hundreds place, and then I would go thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and continue on going to the left, as I normally do. However, the big difference with this number is I have a decimal point after my ones place. This is going to tell me that I have a fractional part coming up. Decimals usually tell us, just like fractions, about parts of one whole thing. And the big thing to remember with your place value is, for our purposes, we have two place values after the decimal point. The first place after the decimal point is called the tenths place, with that THS at the end. The way you would read this number is just as if I had a regular 326. 326, the decimal point you say the word and. 326 and 4 tenths. If I had a 9 here, I would say 326 and 9 tenths. Simple enough. Let me put up a second number. We'll make it a 3. I've completely changed the number I had. My ones place, my tens place, and my hundreds place stayed the same. My tenths stayed the same, but it's not going to be just the tenths place anymore. What you want to do when you say a number with a decimal is be sure to say the farthest place value that's listed. So I would say this, 326 and what I'm going to do is buddy up this number now, and 43, and since hundredths is the farthest place value I have, I say 43 hundredths. So this number would be 326 and 43 hundredths. Now, what would happen if I took out my 4 and turned it into a 0? Meaning I have 0 tenths and 3 hundredths. The way I would say this number is 326 and 3 hundredths. Even though there's a single digit there, it's in the hundredths place. So it's important to say the place value that it is in. So that's a quick review of place value from Chapter 12. Okay? What we did is we keep our regular place value, our hundreds, our tens, our ones. Our decimal point, we say the word and then the first spot after the decimal is your tenths place, and the second spot is called your hundredths place. Remember, a quick way to remember this, if this was money, this is your dimes spot. Dimes are worth 10 cents, so that's the tenths place. This would be your pennies spot, and it takes 100 pennies to get a whole. Quick way to remember that. Now, Chapter 12, Section 1 also deals with drawing pictures and converting fractions into decimals. Luckily, we're only dealing with the tenths place and the hundredths place for today's demonstration. So if I had this decimal, I would say this as 0 wholes, 0 ones, and 6 tenths. Well, how do I show that as a fraction? Just listen to what you say. 0 and 6 tenths. So what this would equal is 6/10. Same thing if I have a whole number. Remember, this is your one spot. This means you have 8 full ones. I would say this 8 and 3/10. So I would turn that into a mixed number. 8 and 3/10. It's that simple. If I had a number in the hundreds, 0 wholes or ones, 0 and 27 hundredths. Again, listen to what you say. 27 hundredths. So it would be 27 hundredths. And same idea if you had a whole. I would say this number as 2 wholes, so 2 and 36 hundredths. And that would be 2 wholes and 36 hundredths. So that's the second part of chapter 12, relating fractions and decimals. The big thing to remember there is your place value. That's why I reviewed it at the beginning of the video. The first spot after the decimal point is your tenths place. That's where you're going to get your denominator from. There's only one digit after my decimal point, so it has to be in the tenths. For these, there's 2 digits, so it's tenths and then hundredths. So I'm going to use hundredths as my denominator here. That's where I got that from. What I'm going to do here is show you real quickly using a grid how fractions and decimals are related. And the reason I'm doing this is because sometimes it's difficult to see using a large grid. I have 2 grids broken into 100 pieces. Each of these are broken into 100 pieces. Don't concern yourself with any of the writing here. We're going to do our own example. Now, if I wanted to draw a picture of what 0.3 would look like, for you. I want to draw 0.3 or 0 and 3/10. Well, how in the world can I do that with a grid that's broken into 100 pieces? Here's how. Each column has 10 pieces in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I have 10 of those. So what I like to do is label them. 1/10, there's 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That helps me remember that I have 10 tenths, which is also able to be shown on the hundredths grid. And I want to show 3/10 shaded in. Well, I'm not going to concern myself with the lines going horizontally. I'm going to just worry about the columns. So here's 1/10, here's 2/10, and here's 3/10. That's what that would look like on that grid. Now, what if I took the same number and I added a 0 to the end of it? I no longer have just 3/10. What I have is 30 hundredths. So, I'm going to use all 100 squares on this grid. And I'm going to color in 30 of them. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. As you can see, 30 hundredths is equivalent to 3/10. They are the exact same amount, just broken into different pieces. This grid is broken into 10 pieces. This grid is broken into 100 pieces. Same thing if I used all fractions. 3/10 or 30 100ths. To find an equivalent fraction here, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that there's that light showing. So 3/10 and 30 100ths. I can find an equivalent fraction. Well, how do I do that? To go from 10 to 100, I multiply by 10. To go from 3 to 30, I do the same thing and multiply by 10, and I have 30 100ths. I hope this helps you a little bit to understand how fractions and decimals are related. It's all in how you say the decimal that will tell you how to get the fraction. If I have 5/10, turn my projector off here. If I have 5/10, what does that equal as a decimal? Well, I have no holes. There's 0 holes, so 0 decimal point, and then 5/10, meaning I'm going to put a 5 in my tenths place. Same idea, 24 hundredths. Again, I have no holes, so it's 0, and then since it's hundredths, I know I need 2 spots after the decimal point, 0 and 24 hundredths. Again, there's a lot of information here in Chapter 12, Section 1. Take your time. Remember your place values. That's the biggest thing to remember here. And you'll be able to find equivalent fractions and decimals using tenths and hundredths. I hope this helped you with Section 12-1. This is a good foundation for the rest of Chapter 12, so revisit this video a few times to give yourself a refresher. Thanks for watching.